Disability discussions with Ihoma Healthcare.
Welcome back to Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We're so glad you're here with us today. And listen, today's episode is going to be a ride because we did something bold. We went out and asked 100 everyday people some very simple questions about disability, and their answers, well, let's just say they were surprising.
Surprising, shocking, confusing, sometimes hilarious, and sometimes a little heartbreaking. But that's exactly why we're talking about it. Because the way people think about disability shapes how they treat disabled people. And when the public's understanding is off, the impact is real.
So today, we're breaking down the questions we asked, the answers we got, and what those answers reveal about how society still misunderstands disability, even in 2026.
Let's start with the first question we asked. What does disability mean to you? Now, you'd think people would give thoughtful answers, but the most common response was,
Someone who can't do things.
exactly. Over half of the people we asked defined disability as inability, as limitation, as lack.
Which tells us something important. People still see disability as a deficit instead of a lived experience. They see what someone can't do instead of what they can do.
And that mindset affects everything: employment, education, healthcare, relationships. When you start with can't, you miss the person entirely.
The next question we asked was, can disabled people live independently? And this one shocked us, because 40% of people said no.
40%. That means almost half of the people we talk to believe independence is impossible for disabled people.
Which is wild, because disabled people live independently every day, with supports, with technology, with accommodations, with community. Independence doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means having control over your life.
But because people misunderstand independence, they underestimate disabled people. They assume dependence. And that assumption becomes a barrier.
Now this one, whew. We asked, do you think invisible disabilities are real?
And 1 in 3 people said they weren't sure.
Not sure. That means millions of people walking around believing disability only counts if you can see it.
Which explains why people with chronic pain, autism, ADHD, PTSD, sensory processing disorders, autoimmune conditions, and mental health disabilities are constantly questioned, doubted, or dismissed.
Invisible disabilities are real. They're valid. And they deserve the same respect and accommodations as visible ones.
This question was tough, but we asked it. Should disabled people be paid less if they work slower?
And 22% of people said yes.
That's not just shocking, that's dangerous. It shows how deeply ableism is woven into our ideas about productivity and worth.
Disabled people deserve equal pay for equal work, period. And if someone needs accommodations to work effectively, that's not a reason to reduce their value. It's a reason to improve the workplace.
Now let's talk about dating. We asked, would you date someone with a disability?
And the answers were revealing. About 30% said no. Another 20% said only if it's not too serious.
Which tells us that people still see disability as a deal breaker, not as a part of someone's identity.
Disabled people date. They marry. They have families. They have full romantic lives. But stigma still shapes how people see disabled partners.
And that stigma needs to go.
We also asked, do you think disabled people are inspirational?
And 70% said yes, but not for the reasons you'd hope.
Most people said disabled people were inspirational simply for living life or doing normal things.
That's not inspiration, that's inspiration porn. It reduces disabled people to objects of motivation for non-disabled people.
Disabled people aren't inspirational for existing. They're inspirational for the same reasons anyone is: resilience, creativity, kindness, leadership, talent.
This question was fascinating. Do you know how to interact with disabled people?
Half of the people said they weren't sure.
Which explains why people freeze up, act awkward, or say the wrong thing. They're afraid of offending someone, but that fear often leads to avoidance.
The truth is simple. Treat disabled people like people. Ask before helping. Respect autonomy. Listen. Don't assume.
It's not complicated, it's human.
This was one of the most important questions. Do you think disability is a normal part of life?
And only 45% said yes.
But disability is a normal part of life. It's the largest minority group in the world, and the only one anyone can join at any time.
Seeing disability as normal changes everything. It changes policy, design, attitudes, and inclusion.
And it's time society caught up.
So what do these answers tell us? They tell us that people still misunderstand disability deeply.
They tell us that stereotypes are alive, that assumptions are strong, that education is needed, and that disabled voices must be centered.
They tell us that people want to understand, but they don't always have the tools.
And that's why conversations like this matter.
We asked 100 people these questions about disability, and their answers shocked us, but they also motivated us. Because every surprising answer is an opportunity to educate, advocate, and shift the narrative.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We hope today's conversation opened your eyes to how much work we still have to do and how powerful awareness can be.
Share this episode, keep the conversation going, and remember, disability isn't a mystery. It's part of humanity.
Great. See you next time.